Well, this is the one I've really been interested in. So in the last video, we compared the Les Paul Modern Studio to a Les Paul Custom that has seemingly identical pickups into it. Now, we know for a fact that the hand wiring that was on the Les Paul Custom gave it a little bit different sound. Also, the position of the pickups. The pickups are a little bit closer on the Modern Studio than they are on the Custom. And I haven't done anything to the Custom, but somebody in the past might have. Maybe my dad did it when he owned it. But these two guitars are set up exactly like they were from the factory. So, sparkling burgundy top, Les Paul Modern, Smokehouse Burst Modern Studio, 3 years apart from each other. This one, the Modern, is made 21. This one was made in January of 24. So they are literally 3 years apart almost. I mean, to the day, basically. Now, with that in mind, there's a lot of appointment differences to these guitars. And you can see the first one right off the bat, and that is binding. Now, standards have binding, right? Customs have binding. Customs have binding on the front and back. Standards generally only have it on the front. That's really where this one's like, because it has a lot of other stuff that's very much similar to a standard, but it runs with a compound radius ebony fretboard that also happens to be on the Modern Studio. Hence the name Modern Studio. Switching on the Modern and the Modern Studio both have the same four switching. They've got coil taps, they've got phase reversal, and then the bypass. And we discovered on the Studio that the bypass on the actual Smokehouse Burst made the bridge pickup even hotter than it normally would be. And that's something that I didn't really expect, because to be honest with you, I just thought that I thought it would just give you a straight through tone, straight through to the thing, but it didn't dawn on me that the pot would suck any of the heat out of the pickup. So that was kind of different to find out that the Modern Studio has a straight through. Now I'm going to take and hook up, because we already figured out that the last one we were looking at 490R, 498T, and that's going to be different than the output on the Modern. So I'll put in the comments what the pickups actually are, but the actual Modern has different pickups. They're not 490, 498s. They're something else. They're like Pro Buckers or something. And like I say, in the comments, I'll make sure, or in the description of the video, I'll tell you exactly what they are. But I'm really curious what their output is, because this one was the Smokehouse Modern Studio was like 7.3 and 13.1. So I'm really interested to see what this Modern does for outputs, as well as finding out whether or not when you pull the knobs, if it creates a split, because it's supposed to be a tap. So we know it didn't change on the actual Studio. So does it change on the Modern by itself? Let's find out. All right, so with everything set to 10 in the neck position, we are looking at a 7.18, which is really close to what we were looking at with the Modern Studio's 490R. In the bridge, we're running a 7.92. Now, that is a lot cooler pickup than the 13.1 that's the 498T that is in the Modern Studio, as well as what was in the Custom. So the question I have is, at 7.92, when we do the bypass, it heats it up to 8.06. So you're cutting out the entire pot when you do that, or you're cutting out most of the pot. There's no tone control or anything. It's just a straight bypass straight to the output. So you get, it's about the same with the studio. It gets it about, 0.1 kilohertz. So that's a pretty sizable difference. Now, the question is, when we split these, does it do anything? Nope. So these are actual coil taps. 7.18, 7.92. Yep, all across, even when you do it on the tap. So those are coil taps, which we discovered in the past as well. I think I originally called them coil splits, but they are coil taps. And they're supposed to coil tap down to sounding like a P90. We discovered that's not exactly correct, but it did have pretty similar output. I mean, it was close, but it was not exactly like that. But Gibson says that these setups are designed to emulate the P90, and they kind of did, but a real P90 still sounds like a real P90, and it does not sound like this guitar. So, all right. Let's put them on. Let's wait. I'm going to put them on the scale and weigh this one. Find out how much it weighs compared to the Modern Studio. So now this guitar is so similarly equipped that I'm wondering, and it even kind of feels heavier. So I'm wondering if this one's going to be in the 9.1, 9 pounds, 3 ounces, something like that. Because it feels like a 9-pound guitar, right? But it's going to be interesting to see, because we found out last time that the Modern Studio weighed 8 pounds and like 7 ounces, right? But today we're going to find out if this one weighs any more. Basically 7.8 pounds, 7.8 ounces. Now, same scale, same moment in time, side-by-side comparison, almost identical weight. 8 pounds, 7.7 ounces. So these two really are the same weight. They just, I don't know, man, it just feels like, see, they're within an ounce of each other. 8 pounds, 8.8 ounces. So these two guitars are within an ounce of each other, but they feel drastically different. Like when you pick up the Modern, it feels heavier, but they are so similar. The actual, the strap buttons, the appointments, the actual fretboard itself. Now, it does have binding, but it does have fret nibs and stuff. No, actually, it doesn't have fret nibs. It just has the binding with the frets, right? So that guitar really does have a different, like I say, it's a little bit different. They're equivalent in that, but they are compound radius fretboards. They are, I don't remember. I think the Modern still also has a slim taper neck, but it could also be the asymmetrical that the traditional has. The traditional Pro 5 has an asymmetrical neck. And I want to say some versions of the Modern had that, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I'll try to correct myself if I'm wrong in the description. But I know for a fact that this one has the Modern has the compound radius, and so does the Modern Studio. So those two appointments are so similar that they're impossible to tell apart from each other. Other than that, I think it's time to get now I will say this. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll plug it in, and then we'll start talking about that. All right, hands-on with the Modern. Things that it has that's a little bit upgraded. The actual pick guard is more like the Customs Multiply. The like I said, the top is this beautiful sparkling burgundy that kind of color shifts from dark red to lighter red depending on the lighting. You can get this on the standards now. It was a beautiful top, and it carried over to some new models, the custom color series. Like I say, one of the things I liked on this at first, but I've come to realize I don't really use because I don't change the strings enough, is the locking tuners. And locking tuners are really, really, really great. Don't get me wrong. But I find that what I thought they were useful for is not necessarily true. I don't think they create any better tuning stability. I feel like this guitar has some issues sometimes, and depending on the weather, doesn't have issues other times. So I don't feel like this guitar does anything with the locking tuners that makes me think that it has any bearing on whether or not it stays in tune. That said, string changes are a friggin' breeze. Just absolutely night and day. So if you feel like you need them, get them. If you don't shy away from the other ones. Tuning stability is just a rumor, basically. The back of this guitar, and especially the neck, has a really cool like candy stripe pattern to it, right? I like that about this guitar, and it's made me want to hold on to this guitar when I got rid of others. Comfort swoop, I'll say this again. If you're up at the 15th fret, it's really useful. Anything down below that, you got to be playing a 15th fret. And like I say, do I like it? Yeah, I think it's convenient. On the 35 times in my lifetime that I'll use it, but I don't feel like it's massively different. I do think that it's nice when you need it, but I'm not nearly good enough a guitar player to be playing up there, so I don't find myself feeling like, yeah, man, this is absolutely so much better. But it is nice to have, and it's kind of cool to show off to your friends. Pickups, like I said, not as hot as the Modern Studio, so I'm going to swap over to the Modern Studio and show you its appointments next. New for 2024 is the Modern Studio, and it has the either acrylic or mother of pearl Gibson inlay for the first time. And I think that's kind of a cool addition because I like the way that looks. I think that's a cool special thing about this Modern Studio. Of course, it's back to having an ebony fretboard. It is very much a upgrade from the previous studio. The previous studios, if I remember correctly, they had coil splitting or coil tapping for the 490R and 498T that were in those. And they were pretty good guitars. They'd gotten to the point where they were like $16.99. So this is really only about $300 more than like a 2022, Les Paul Studio in Manhattan Midnight Burst or whatever they call it, Manhattan Midnight. But satin finish versus the gloss that it used to come in. The guitar itself now has the Modern's phase reversal and bypass, and I have discovered that really is hotter. And like I say, you can hear it when you do it, because it's a little strange at first, but it does make a difference. And if you're a lead guitar player, that would make a big difference, right? I'm not a lead guitar player. I'm a rhythm guitar player, so I'll probably never use it except for sometime if I'm just get a wild hair. Same comfort carve as the regular Modern. No binding or anything like that. Just a maple top that's not flamey or anything like that. You're probably going to find some of them that are. This one's got some nice grain to it, but other than that, it's not special edition or anything like that. So I like the black crow, though. I wish they carried that over to the regular Moderns, and I wonder if they do have that on some of the new Moderns that I just haven't seen, because I like to think that that's a cool option. That black nickel or black chrome, whatever it is, that's a kind of a cool setup. These pickups are hotter, like not a whole lot hotter. The neck is about the same, but the actual bridge pickup is significantly hotter. And this pickup on this one, this is a stock setup, right? This is not something that aftermarket that I did. I didn't lower the action or anything. This right here is a really, really close pickup, like almost too close. And it's probably affecting the actual strings a little bit. So on some level, I feel like this might need to be dropped down some to make it where it's not, because I can't fathom that this is not creating a little bit of pull on the strings. That said, it makes for a different sound. It's unique and it is cool. And even versus the custom, you could hear that this pickup was hotter. Like you could hear that it was louder because of how close it was. And they were similarly set up. I mean, the pickup on the custom is only just a little bit further away. So all in all, this guitar is super comfortable. The neck is super comfortable. I actually think I like the neck better on the studio than I do on the regular modern. So the question is, how much does the sound variance make? And looking at the way they're shaped, this is a slim taper neck. This is the slim taper neck. And like I said, it's basically the same that's on the custom, but the satin feel has a different feel to it. Custom shop stuff has a feel that's just custom shop, right? So this is getting long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shut up and play some music. Here we go. All right, same thing with the modern. So that's a pretty different group of tones there. Now, the modern's almost mellower, right? So it really is more of a, I feel like it might be the one that you would choose if you wanted to be able to do more sounds throughout. But we're about to use the metal zone and find out how it handles a pedal, because it really does make a difference on people. For people that are going to use a guitar like this or a guitar like the Studio, it makes a difference between, could it be flexible for everything, or could it just be, is it a one-trick pony for clean sounds? So going to run through the coil tap sounds real quick, and then we'll plug it in and do the bypass and everything else, because that's really something you'd use for that. So starting off, going to tap both the front and back pickups. Start in the middle. Here we go. Quick comparison of tones, just for the making sure you see the difference between the coil taps. Coil tap, full humbucker. Coil tap on the bridge. Full humbucker. Coil tap. Full humbucker. It's a richer sound. And you can tell it's a coil tap versus a coil split because it doesn't get the 60 cycle hum, which on actual coil split Gibsons, it's real obvious that it's a coil split because it does make that sound. Now, on to the modern Studio. Starting off with the middle, both of them, both pickups coil tapped. Turn the volume up, right? Neck. bridge. Now I'm curious about something because I noticed something when I was doing this with this guitar a little while ago. These may be like those treble bleed circuit pickup pots or something, because listen to this. So, all right, so it's going to be more obvious in humbucker. So check this out. This is the bridge. Everything sounds pretty much the same, right? But watch this. When you go to the neck, I'm going to strum it at 10. Now in the middle. Like somewhere around 8.5 to 9, you get this, like it drops. And I don't know if it's trying to treble bleed or what, but it's a different sound. And that's a little weird on this guitar. And it's something the modern doesn't do. The modern studio does it, but the modern regular 2021 modern does not do that. And I don't know how to accurately get it to where it'll be so obvious, but see if it'll be more obvious in single coil. See that right there? Chimey, dull. It changes the tone. It's really strange, and that's something I'm not used to, and I don't know if I could ever get used to that. But I will say this: these pickups feel like they're really hot compared to the other one, but the fact that the regular modern is a little less hot kind of makes it more useful depending on who you are. If you're looking for playing Metallica, this is probably the guitar to play. If you're looking to play, I don't know, Lynyrd Skynyrd, you would probably be better off with the regular modern. And they're about the same price. You can get them for about the same price, about $2,000 each. So let's throw some Metal Zone on, figure out what we got going on here. Starting off with humbucker. Neck. Bridge. So, let's see what the Modern has to say about that. Neck. Bridge. Let's coil tap that, see what we got. That was the bridge. Let's go to the neck. So just for a second, I want to kind of demonstrate what I was talking about earlier. So listen to the way this sounds. It sounds the same all the way across. And that's as I'm turning the volume all the way up. So when in the middle even, it just sounds like you're changing the volume. Whereas on the Studio Modern, or Modern Studio, it really does change the sound of the guitar. That's weird. That's a really weird moment in time. But these guitars are so strikingly similar when they're with their appointments and the way everything else is. The PCB is similar. Everything is similar. So it kind of depends on what you want. The upgraded things like the binding and stuff, that doesn't really affect playability. There's no fret dims on the Modern. The binding and everything, it's mostly appearance. That said, the pickups are starkly different. And I don't know. I think for the price, I might be more inclined to pick up a $2,000 used older Modern than the Modern Studio. I mean, The beauty of getting one of the old moderns is, just like the studio, you can put whatever pickups you want as long as they have the quick connectors on. So you can put 490s, you can put the 500R and 500T, you can put the, you can find the pickups that are in the modern studio and put them in the modern. I mean, change it all out if you want to. It's about, all you gotta do is be able to fish that wire through. So do I feel like it's worth it to have a modern studio when you can buy a used modern for the same price? Absolutely not. Now, that said, stepping back to the custom shop versus the non-custom shop, it's $1,000 more to get a Les Paul custom with 490R, 498Ts. And I'll be honest with you, custom shop feel kind of really is worth it. So it all depends on what you want and what you need, but they're both very versatile, they're both easy to play, and I would recommend picking one up and playing both of them. Till next time. You know, I just realized after I hit the stop button on that last part of this video that I am guilty of not playing this guitar with the splits and through the metal zone. So coil taps on the studio modern or modern studio with that. So play a little bit and then just shut. So I'm just going to shut up now because obviously I'm forgetful. Till next time. Wow, that was kind of unexpected.